Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast, where we provide you with your weekly diagnosis of everything fantasy football. Whether it's season-long leagues, dynasty, DFS, or sometimes even IDP, we got you covered all year long. Let's do it. Let's get to it. Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast, and I'm your host, John June. Today is Thursday, October 27th. And of course, this guy to my left, Greg Penniman, a.k.a. G Money, a.k.a. the Tight End Whisperer. Greg, haven't pulled out that nickname in a while, but Greg, how are you doing today, sir?
Doing all right, man. Waiting for this Thursday night game. It's Lamar versus Brady again. Just waiting for that. Week 8. Looking forward to some more Jets and Giants relevance. So, yeah, man, it's another week. They're just stretching out as long as possible. Got rid of Kadarius Toney and so today. So he's on the Chiefs now. So glad we got some for him, because if we weren't going to use him, I knew the coaching staff hated him. Like, it was meant to be. They really didn't like him. So we got Wandell now. On to Wandell.
I missed that part. What you said about the Jets?
They're still relevant.
Oh,
Jets and Giants relevance. Yeah. Week 8.
Yes,
Week
8.
Still
I'm not
relevant.
looking up mock drafts.
Yeah, you're not looking at mock drafts. You're not looking up, watching more college football for the quarterbacks that are going to be there, the receivers.
Not yet. We'll see what it looks like after this week.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. You did talk about Kadarius Toney, which is interesting because that's kind of where I wanted to start. Obviously, we're not going to talk about the Chiefs because they're on bye this week. So, let's just talk about Kadarius Toney and what the reaction is, Greg. I mean, obviously, as a Giants fan, it's really not a loss because he's the second-year wide receiver.
He played maybe 3 games, maybe. I feel like
I don't even know what the number is this year. I think he's played like 2 games, one full game
last year. Yeah, one full game last year, 1/2, 1/3, 3/4 of a game, and then because he got punched someone and got ejected. And then and then now, one half of a game this year, maybe, or 2 games.
I said it when it happened, and I'll say it again. That 10 catch, 189-yard game against Dallas, we're never going to see that again. He's never going to do it again. I mean, we've been chasing that game since last year.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited for him on the Chiefs now. I mean, that hamstring is probably magically healthy now. I'm sure he's like, he's really good.
Apparently, the ESPN's Jordan Rannon reports that the Kadarius Toney and the Giants were at odds about his health. Toney apparently believed he was good to go. The Giants wanted to hold him out through their week 9 bye week. So now Toney's on bye for week 8 with the Chiefs. And, just comes down to what it really comes down to, in my opinion, is just it wasn't the regime that drafted him, right?
Yeah.
Nobody that drafted Kadarius Toney or was invested in the development of Kadarius Toney was involved in that organization. There's no Dave Gettleman, there's no Joe Judge. It's now Joe Shine and Brian Daboll, and they spent a second-round pick on Wan'Dale Robinson, pretty much, saying then that, hey, this is going to be our guy. As it pertains to the Chiefs, and the fantasy reaction there, I think instantly when I saw the news, I was like ecstatic, and I was like, oh, Kadarius Toney on the Chiefs, like, that's dope, right? And then I go to pick him up, and I'm trying to see who, in what leagues, like, who could I drop and things like that. And the more I thought about it, like, the Chiefs, what makes the Chiefs a better football team may not help your fantasy football team, right? Like, they have Juju Smith-Schuster, they have Travis Kelce, who's obviously he's the number one target there. MVS is still there. They're paying, $11 million a year to or whatever that contract is. It's decent money. And then they spent the second round pick on Sky Moore. So, they're invested in his future and his development as well. And then they also have Mecole Hardman, who, is a free agent after this year. So long term, I do like this move, from a dynasty perspective for Kadarius Toney. But in regards to what he's going to be able to do this season and, how he'll be able to help, I'm sure he'll have some spike weeks. But if people think that we're getting Kadarius Toney catching 7 to 9 to 10 balls a game from Patrick Mahomes, like I don't think that's realistic in this scenario.
Yeah, not right away. I do think he could possibly have some games of those type, or maybe like just maybe get some carries, even like some jet sweeps, some action like that. Just only because none of the, I mean, I guess Juju's finally coming on, but no one kind of took that mantle as the main outside receiver for them. After Kelsey, of course. Yeah, I think the most
Do
he
you
could
think anybody will do
3.
that all year? Like nobody's taking that mantle, right? But is
No.
anybody going to do it?
I mean, at this, I mean, I thought none. I thought no. I mean, but they traded for Cardarius. So, um, yeah. I mean, coming into the season, I thought Juju could do that. Yeah. I don't know. I think his highest upside is probably wide receiver 3 though, which I think is valuable because he was basically not going to see the field on the Giants this whole season, I think.
No, he's definitely somebody you should add, but I'm not like going crazy to add him just because, like we talked about, he's going to be catching passes from Patrick Mahomes, which is awesome, but he's one of many players that'll be out there running routes that'll be catching passes from Patrick Mahomes, and the only one that will get a target share that we truly genuinely want to chase is Travis Kelce. And so, yeah,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
he's somebody you should add, but again, I wouldn't go crazy here.
You're hoping talent comes through because, I mean, talent-wise, he's probably the best with the ball in his hands on that team right now. Like, I mean, Travis Kelce and then probably him. He makes things. He's special,
Yeah,
like when he has the ball in his hands. So if they can get him the ball, maybe like right at the line of scrimmage and stuff, I could see him making some plays.
just juke 11 people,
Yeah,
12
and get
people.
to the end zone.
They'll
Yeah.
make that one person miss twice. um, yeah, maybe he'll score his first career touchdown too.
Yeah, yeah.
Big news that came out, which doesn't affect any of the games that we're going to talk about today, but it will affect Monday night's game and the foreseeable future of the season, is Jamar Chase. Was placed on injury reserve today, out 4 to 6 weeks, it looks like, with a hip injury. So 4 weeks would put us at week 12. 6 weeks would put us at week 14. That would be just in time for the fantasy playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
How do you? Obviously, we know what this means for Jamar Chase. I would hold him. He's not somebody I'm dropping through this. But what do you agree with that? And what do you think this means for Joe Burrow and the other offensive pieces?
I mean, yeah, definitely Jamar Chase. He's a top 5 fantasy receiver. I mean, coming into you're holding him, especially for your team that's sitting pretty nice right now at a maybe like a 5-2 kind of spot or 4-3 kind of spot. I think he's definitely worth it. I think if you're in a lower spot, you're kind of desperate for wins right now, you might be thinking about selling because you need to make the playoffs at the end of the day. So I mean, especially if you're not in a league where you don't have any IR spots or you're hurting at that position. But he's definitely a keep at all odds, keep at in every case. As far as the offense, you all know this gives a bump to T. Higgins, who was already a borderline wide receiver 1. He's as he gets healthier. I mean, hopefully he's healthy now. He's definitely a lock for wide receiver 1. Tyler Boyd, I think, becomes an instant wide receiver 2. Just he has those spike weeks even when all 3 of these guys are healthy. But now targets are just gonna funnel more to him. I think this helps Hayden Hurst. I think I think it won't hurt Joe Burrow as much. Maybe the explosive plays, but T Higgins is very very capable of doing that as well. So maybe the touchdown rate might go down slightly, but and maybe the passing yards might go down slightly. But I think Joe Burrow is still QB1 in my eyes, and I think Mike Thomas has some intrigue because this is an offense that still passes the ball at a high rate, and I think Mike Thomas can have some intrigue, as some flexing intrigue down the line.
Yeah, this is definitely an offense that's going to continue to feature, multiple wide receivers. So
Yeah, yeah,
Mike Thomas, which is an interesting, I think was drafted the same year as Michael Thomas.
crazy.
So in dynasty leagues, that was very interesting because people were drafting the wrong Michael Thomas.
That did happen. Yes.
Yes. But yeah, I mean the Bengals, they're throwing the ball 71% of the time on early downs in neutral games. When the
Love to
score
see
is
it.
plus or
Love to see it.
minus 6, and it's first and second down, they're throwing it 71% of the time. That is an absurd rate. That's over the last 3 weeks. That has a lot to do with that obviously has Jamar Chase's recent production, along with Joe Burrow's recent production, has a lot to do with that. I think that they will, stick with that. But like you said, T. Higgins more than capable. Tyler Boyd, he's a veteran. He'll step in and when his number is called. And then Hayden Hurst, I think this means more opportunities for him because Jamar Chase, that's going to account for like 28 to close to 30%. Let me see what he is over the last 3 weeks. He's at 27% target share over these last 3 weeks. So, you take that out of the offense, those have to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And so they will be trickled around throughout, all the players.
Even Joe Mixon too. Yeah, hopefully he gets some more targets as well. Yeah.
Joe Mixon should soak up some of those as well. So, definitely a tough blow. Probably caps the upside for Joe Burrow. I still think he, like you said, he'll be a QB1, but those, the top 3 finishes that we've been seeing from him these last 2 weeks, I don't know if we're going to see that with the frequency with which we might come to expect after what's happened over these last couple of weeks.
Felt like last year, especially every week, he got at least one big play to chase down the field. And that's at least, with the 4+ touchdown, maybe bonuses for deep touchdowns. Like you were getting 10 points right away of a big play from a Boyd Chase touchdown. So yeah, it definitely that cap upside is kind of hit.
Yeah, it's kind of depressing when I was looking in our dynasty league and I was like, oh, okay, how did I knew I was playing you, Greg, and I was like, oh, how did I do? Because I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing pretty well in our dynasty league, and I look and I'm like, well, I lost by 20 points. Like, okay, well, how did I lose by 20 points? Our dynasty league is crazy. It's quarterback premium, so like you get all the yardage is created equal. So like every 10 passing yards is a point. Every touchdown is 6 points. So quarterbacks are really valuable. And I started Davis Mills. I felt really good about it. Got me 75 points in our league. I felt really, really good.
That's pretty good number in our league.
Pretty good. If your quarterback puts up 70 points, like that's like you feel pretty good about that day. But then I looked to the right and I see Joe Burrow had 126, and I was like, oh, no wonder I lost by 20 points, right? Like,
yeah.
Not much I can do there. Anyway, enough about me and our dynasty league and my loss to you. Let's talk about some football, Greg. We got some 1 p.m. games that we're here to discuss. If you are watching on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, we definitely appreciate that. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, we appreciate you as well. Just make sure, however you are watching, however you're listening, you subscribe, like, all that fun stuff. And if Greg talked about Thursday Night Football. If you missed our breakdown, just go back, listen to that real quick before the game, because all of our calls are going to hit. They're it's like 100% guarantee.
For the man, Gus Edwards, ready to go.
Everything we said on that podcast is going to happen. And that's not a false statement at all in any way. Anyway, let's talk about some 1 p.m. games. And before we break down all the 1 p.m. games, there is a London game to talk about.
There is.
Sunday, 9:30 a.m. So please make sure these players are in a starting spot, like Russell Wilson, right? He's probably your quarterback too in your super flex league, right? You probably you're like, oh, he's my super flex. Like, well, no, he's got to be your quarterback this week, unless you have Lamar Jackson or Tom Brady.
Yep.
Russell Wilson has to be in that quarterback slot, and that other quarterback's got to be in the super flex. Same thing with, I don't know how much of these players you'll be starting from this game, but make sure that they
Corner
are
son, corner son.
Carlos
Yeah,
Sutton,
yeah, there you
Travis
go. There you go.
Etienne,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
let's talk about the game though. The 2-5 Denver Broncos travel to London to take on the 2-5 Jacksonville Jaguars, who are basically the home team in London. They
They have to be. They played the most games I in my experience of London games. I feel like Jacksonville gets at least one a year.
Yeah, they play one game a year. It's mainly because there have been plenty of rumors over the past several seasons that the NFL is trying to move a team to London, and the lucky team would be the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Shipping him out pretty much.
You said what? Ship him out?
They're just trying to get rid of this franchise.
Like, oh yeah, just go to London. We'll send teams to play you there all the time. We promise. But this game has a 39.5 point total, where the Jacksonville Jaguars on a neutral field with a little bit of a home field advantage are 3.5 point favorites. There's possible chance of rain in this game. In terms of injuries on the Denver side, quarterback Russell Wilson has said that he is on track to go. I don't exactly know what the words he used, but after all those high knees on the plane, I think it's pretty clear that Russell Wilson is planning on playing in this game. In terms of running back Michael Boone, he was placed on the injury reserve with an ankle injury. I believe they signed Marlon Mack off of the Niners practice squad, if I'm not mistaken. I think they called him like right after the game, and they flew him right to Denver from San Fran, so that he could, get ready for this upcoming game here. And then for the Jags, in terms of their injuries, cornerback Shaq Griffin was placed on injured reserve with a back injury, and then wide receiver Jamal Agnew is questionable in this game. I'm going to take the under here. I'm going to take Denver to cover 3.5, but I will take Jacksonville to win the game. For the Denver side, Russell Wilson has a good matchup, so he can be treated as a quarterback one in this game. Jacksonville allows the 6th most fantasy points to the quarterback position over the last 3 games. Melvin Gordon, Latavius Murray, they're both RB2s. Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver 3s in this matchup. Jacksonville allows the 9th most fantasy points to the wide receiver position over the last 3 weeks. Again, they just sent their top cornerback to injured reserve. And then Greg Dulcich, the tight end, a low-end tight end one option. And then on the Jacksonville side, really love Travis Etienne this week. The matchup is fantastic here for him. Denver allows the 9th most fantasy points to the running back position over these last 3 weeks. And they were on their way to giving up another big week before the Breece Hall injury. So Christian Kirk, a wide receiver 3 for me in this matchup, but that's really all I'm interested in this game.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the under. I'm gonna take Denver to cover, but I'm gonna take Jacksonville to win. I think it's a field goal game here. As far as who I'm starting for Denver, it's definitely really just the receivers. Cortland Sutton, I think, is a low-end wide receiver 2. Jeudy, wide receiver 3 with some wide receiver 2 upside, depending, how many pass attempts, Wilson goes up. But he really just only targets those 2 guys. Greg Dulcich, though, as well, gaining some intrigue. Either he's, had a good matchup now, had a good game with both quarterbacks, so he's kind of there as a solid start for tight ends, especially for tight ends, as a low-end tight end 1. On the Jacksonville side, I definitely agree with you. Attacking, Travis Etienne, playing him out there, fully unleash him. Especially last game, took over as the lead dog, and now he's got no one behind him really to pressure him to he can fully play as a breakout. So I think he's a wide receiver. I mean, wide receiver one upside. Christian Kirk, wide receiver three. Depending if he gets a touchdown, he'll probably have a wide receiver two day. And I'm willing to play Zay Jones in deeper leagues as well. He got targeted 10 times last week, so he's been a solid 9 to 10 points the last couple of weeks. So I can play that.
The only thing that scares me, I did think about Zay Jones, is this Denver secondary is so elite.
Yeah, I
The
mean,
pass
yeah,
defense is elite, so it's like I don't
yeah,
really want to go into the teeth of that, with a player like Zay Jones. Love you, Zay. Think you've been balling, as far as the opportunities, but
yeah,
that was just my trepidation there.
yeah.
Let's move on to this next game. We've got the 2-5 Chicago Bears traveling to Dallas to take on the 5-2 Dallas Cowboys. This game has a 43-point total, where the Dallas Cowboys are 10.5-point home favorites in this one. In terms of the weather, we're okay there. In terms of injuries, Chicago is okay for the most part. I think they had some guys questionable, but nothing major. On the Dallas side, Dalton Schultz, he's been, he's limited with the knee. I think that's just load management there, because he had a good week last week. Noah Brown was a DMP with a foot. Ezekiel Elliott sitting here talking about how he's going to be out there and all this stuff, but he was back-to-back DMPs with this MCL sprain and a thigh bruise apparently. Finished the game. I mean, Zeke, he's one of the toughest guys in the league. We've seen it. We know it. Played through a torn PCL last year in his knee. Played through I sprained my MCL, and again, I'm not like a legit NFL athlete by any means, but I sprained my MCL and I could barely walk, let alone run. And my man was out there running as a running back in a football game.
Yeah.
I mean, more power to you, Zeke. But it seems like Dallas is going to hold him out this week, and let him get healthier. So it seems like we might get the Tony Pollard show. Greg, where are you as it pertains to this matchup here?
I think I'm a take the over. It's still, I think, a low 43. I can justify getting the over on that. I'm gonna took the Bears to cover against Pats. I'm gonna take them to cover again, even though I don't think it's a good matchup. I'm gonna take Dallas also to win the game though. Just matchup wise, Dallas's D line should eat Fields up actually, but I think they'll force Fields to get some rushing yards. So on the Chicago side, I do think Fields has some intrigue here. As a high in QB2, could fall into QB1 depending on how many rushing yards he gets, because he's going to be running a lot away from this D line for sure. Khalil Herbert and David Montgomery, I think both are startable players. I think they're obviously not going to be throwing the ball at a good clip. It's going to be hard to get the ball out when Justin Fields going to be pressured like that. So I think Montgomery RB2, maybe some RB1 upside if he scores a touchdown. Herbert is also in that low end RB3 category with some RB2 upside. As far as the receivers, I'm not going to touch it in this game. On Dallas' side, Zeke, I feel like Zeke is, he's trying his hardest because he doesn't want to get Wally put, man. He's got Tony Pollard behind him, man. It's tough out here, yo. That man, he's getting the money, so
Hey, we
he's
know
not
who's
upset
in
about
charge
that.
over there.
Yeah, Jerry.
Hey, Zeke, if I say you're not playing, you're not playing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, if he's not able to go, Tony Pollard, rep him up, start him, obviously, in an offense that's gonna still run the ball. Dak, hopefully this could be kind of his breakout game. Thought it was gonna be last week, but it could have been better. We're hoping that he gets his first good week of the season actually, because week one wasn't good as well. So I think I'm gonna put him in there as a QB1, low end QB1. CeeDee Lamb, starting him. Dalton Schultz, if he's able to go, you're starting him as well. And yeah, I need to see it from the Cowboys ancillary receivers for me to start any of them besides CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even. Oh, well, let's just get
Michael
into it.
Gallup. Yeah.
I'm gonna take the over. I'm gonna take Dallas to cover. I will take Dallas to win. Yeah, Chicago on the Chicago side, Mooney, I think, is a wide receiver 2. Justin Fields,
It's
I think
tough.
outside of 2 quarterback leagues, you can't play. I don't think you could play that man. Like his legs will get you. He'll fall into some points because of his legs, but you
I
ask,
didn't think he would have any chance to do what he did last week though, in New England, in Foxborough though. That was pretty impressive.
look, I hear you,
Yeah.
but they don't have Micah Parsons out
I
there
know.
chasing
No,
them
they don't.
around.
They don't.
And if you
They
look
don't.
historically, Belichick's defense struggles against mobile quarterbacks,
Mm.
and Justin Fields fits that mold. And think it's a theme this year. Actually, I'm friends with Patriots fans, and they cry about it all the time. Like Matt Judon apparently has trouble containing the edge against mobile quarterbacks, and this was something that he struggled with earlier in the year. So, Justin Fields, I'm sorry, like love him, think he's a phenomenal athlete. I just can't stomach playing him like over Daniel Jones,
No.
over Andy Dalton, my stream of the week. I would play him in his matchup against Las Vegas. Yeah, I get it becomes very tough for me to like be confident, be able to play him. Herbert, Monty, I look at them as both, low upside RB3s. I mean, we saw it like closer to a 50-50 split in the workload last week with Herbert on Monday night. And then on the Dallas side, Pollard, he could get the backfield to himself, and if that happens, he's a definite RB1. CeeDee Lamb, he's a wide receiver 1 option. Dak Prescott, probably a quarterback 2 with some QB1 upside, and then Dalton Schultz, I think he's back in play as a tight end 1. And I'm with you. I'm not playing any of these ancillary pieces unless one of 2 things happens. We see it happen,
Yeah.
Organically, or they're matched up in a game against another team with a high-powered offense where they're gonna have to do it. But until that happens, until either of those 2 things happen, I'm okay not playing Michael Gallup, and Noah Brown's might not even play. So
Yeah. Nah. Yeah. We're definitely waiting to see 5-2, but yeah, I'm still waiting to see this offense kind of get going. It still hasn't really happened yet, as a whole, like everybody.
yeah, definitely. I mean, it was Dak's first game back last week since week 1 and the thumb injury. So we'll see. Man, I hate the NFL. I don't know. You might be the wrong show. I hate the NFL. Man, Chiefs offense is really finna be deadly now, and I hate it. Shaking my head. Yeah. They were deadly with or without Kadarius Toney. So if Kadarius Toney brought you over the edge, you already had issues with this offense to begin with, in terms of its ability and explosiveness. Let's move on to a game where neither one of these offenses can be described or defined as explosive. Um, the 2-5 Carolina Panthers. Oh wait, sorry, missed a game. We'll stick with this game though.
Yeah.
2-5
This will be quick.
Carolina Panthers. This will be quick, right? 2-5 Carolina Panthers travel to Atlanta to take on the 3-4 Atlanta Falcons. This game has a 41.5 point total, where the Carolina Panthers are 6.5 point road dogs after the big win against Tampa. This is actually crazy because if Tampa loses today and Carolina beats Atlanta, and then the Saints win, you would have like a 4-way tie.
At 3-5. Oh, these South divisions, man. Both conferences, man. These South divisions are nasty. Nasty this year. That's 8 teams. Oh man.
Oh man, this is terrible. Well, there is possible rain in this game to make it even worse.
Oh.
On the injury front, wait, this shouldn't be rain in this game. This game is in a dome. Atlanta's in a dome. This game's in a dome. On the injury front, Cordell Patterson, he's on injury reserve, but posted a video of him running the other day. So If he's out there, was dropped, scoop him up. If you've been holding him, then we obviously we know what this offense wants to do. So continue to hold on.
It's perfect because he could do either way. Whatever the coach needs him to do, he could do. Yeah, that's what's great about Cardell.
And he wants to run the what out of the football. So AJ Terrell, the cornerback, he's questionable with the hamstring with his DNP on Wednesday. Safety Jalen Hawkins, he is out of this game. And then on Carolina, guard Pat Elfine, he has he had hip surgery recently, so he's placed on injury reserve. And then Chuba Hubbard dealing with I believe it's an ankle, and he's limited. So in this game here, I will take the under. I'm all for the chaos. Carolina to cover, Carolina to win in this matchup.
Can we say tie? Like, is that possible?
Yes, a tie is definitely possible. In terms of who to play, on the Atlanta side, I can't recommend a soul. I can't. I could say, hey, maybe you could play Mariota, but that works out like 50% of the time, it seems. The running backs, not one of them is getting enough volume that makes you say, yeah, I could bank on that player. They clearly don't throw the ball, and I don't think Carolina is going to force them to throw the football in this game.
Are they running like 20 plays a game then? It doesn't make sense. Like the math ain't math. And if they want to run the ball, but no running backs are irrelevant. Like,
well, Mariota is still in like 20% of the team rush attempts.
Gotcha.
Let's see. I have a breakdown here. And yeah, Mariota's taking like 20% of the rush attempts, and
they
that
must have a really slow pace though as well.
Yeah, 37% for Tyler Algier and Caleb Huntley, 29% over these last 3 weeks. Yeah. So anyway, I can't recommend to play anybody. Kyle Pitts, love the talent, but if they're not throwing the football, he's just out there blocking. No, not worth it. Drake London, again, matchup looks good for him on paper, but if he's only going to get 3 to 4 targets, can't really bank on that. He's been under 40 receiving yards, I think 3 consecutive weeks now, and I'm projecting him for a 4th consecutive week. On the Carolina side, you already know, man, DJ Moore, he's back. He's back.
Yeah, that's one of those, like, I guess you got to do it. I mean,
that's high-end wide receiver 2 this week for me. Atlanta's not great against wide receivers, and
no AJ Terrell either. If
no AJ Terrell potentially. And again, the logic is the same. No Christian McCaffrey, no Robbie Anderson. DJ Moore is about to see another 12 to 16 targets. Gotta love it. Deontay Foreman might get the full load here if Chuba can't go. So, I think that's obviously, more upside for him. And that's really it for me in this game.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm taking the under. I'm taking Carolina to cover and Carolina to win.
Wow, 6.5 point dogs, and we both took them to win.
Yeah. Carolina's defense is good. I mean, I'll give them that.
Good.
Their defense is good. Like that's the only reason. Like, I mean, they shut down the Bucs last week. They've been able to get 2 wins. So like, something. I just look up past just plays per game in general. Carolina and Atlanta are 30 and 32nd. So this is gonna be so bad. Like, oh man. But yeah, on Atlanta side, I agree with you. There's no one I can play, and on the Carolina side, it's DJ Moore, become Brandon Cooks of last year. Like, just be the only one on the field, just get mad targets and get some fantasy points. So I'm here. He's made fantasy relevance for sure. And then whoever's starting at running back, if Chuba was able to go, I think they kind of eat up each other's production. I think they're both in RB3 category. But if Deontay Foreman is the sole starter, I think he can be RB2.
And if both go, would you play? Do you feel comfortable playing each one if you had them?
I think in bye weeks, yeah, I think so. I'll be more confident, I think, to play Chuba. But Yeah, in this situation, yeah.
Yeah, I mean Atlanta's run defense isn't great,
Yeah.
so I think if both go, you could play both because that's probably going to be the game plan here. Um, all right, let's move on to this next game here. We've got the 2-5 Las Vegas Raiders traveling to New Orleans to take on the 2-5 New Orleans Saints. This game has a 47.5 point total, where the Las Vegas Raiders are 1.5 point road favorites here. This game is played in a dome, so no concerns about weather. For the Las Vegas side, in terms of their injuries, Darren Waller, the tight end, who's been out the last 2 games with a hamstring injury, practice in limited fashion this week. So, not saying that he will play, but it's definitely increases the chances that he could potentially play on Sunday. Um, for the New Orleans side, cornerback Marshawn Lattimore was a DNP with an abdomen injury, so not starting off the week great. Missed the last 2 games as well, so definitely a blow for the secondary there for New Orleans. Tight end Adam Troutman, he was a DNP with an ankle injury that he's dealing with. Jarvis Landry, DNP. Michael Thomas, also a DNP. Like, why don't they just put them on the IR? Like, I really don't get it. Like, you could have put them on IR weeks ago.
Yeah.
It would have been helpful for my fantasy teams. I'll just say that.
Yeah. Yeah. That
Um,
definitely.
Bradley Roby, though, the cornerback, was placed on the injury reserve with an ankle. And then one of the things that I think popped up as I was getting ready to head home, I got the alert on my phone because I roster him in so many dynasty leagues. Jawan Johnson, I think, popped up on the injury report. Yes, with a
Hmm.
hamstring injury. So that's never good to get added to the injury report midweek. So definitely something to monitor there. We only really care if Adam Troutman was not going to play. But Greg, where are you at with this game here?
I'm gonna take the over. This could be a definitely a sneaky shootout here. I'm a the winner though. I have no idea who's gonna have win, but just because the Saints are home, I'm giving them the edge. I'm gonna take them to cover, and I'm gonna take them to win. Um, I think on the Vegas side, Derek Carr, this is a good matchup for him. I think and a potential shooter. I think he's got some QB1 upside, low end QB1 upside. Um, we just can't give him too much praise because then he's gonna fall through. So it's just quiet QB1 performance. Slide him in there. Josh Jacobs, he's a monster. You already know that is a must start. Definitely top 5 running back this year right now in fantasy. Uh, you continue to play him as such. Devontae Adams must start as well. Keep playing him. Wide receiver 1 on the as far as secondary receivers, it's tough. Hunter Renfro, I think I need to see it one more time from him. He's getting back a little bit more involved as he's getting healthier, but I'm still in a wait and see mode on him. Uh, on the New Orleans side, Andy Dalton, your quarterback stream of the week, definitely has some intrigue here. Vegas's defense is so bad. It's on both, defending the run and defending the pass. So Andy Dalton's got some streaming value here for sure. Alvin Kamara, you're playing him. RB1, Chris Olave as a receiver. You're playing him as a wide receiver 2. And if Jawan Johnson can go, I think he's got some tight end 1 intrigue here. If he can't go, that is tough because tight end finding a good a streamable tight end is tough to begin with. So it's just be tough to find another option than Jawan Johnson. I feel like he's been a popular streaming option for me and a lot of fantasy managers out there.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about this game, but it screams over.
Yeah, it does.
Yet I took the under. So we'll see about that. I mean, I had my best week against the totals last week, so we'll see if it
Nice,
was an
nice.
outlier. I was
Hmm.
10-4 against the totals last week, which is by far my best record on the season.
I mean, in general, unders have been really cashing right this year. Like, I feel like
Yeah, I mean,
those unders.
I don't know. I'm taking the under here. I am going to take Vegas to cover though. I'm going to take Vegas to win. And it really is. I think the reason I took the under in Vegas to cover and win is really about Josh Jacobs. I mean, he's an
Hmm.
RB1 and he's in a phenomenal spot here. Um, So I continue to start him up. Devontae Adams, he's been a DNP these last couple days with apparently a bad case of the flu. But if he can go, he's a wide receiver one in this matchup. Derek Carr, obviously, he's in a great spot. We've been talking about it. I don't know, Greg. I'm really thinking about doing it. Really, really thinking about doing it.
For Vegas, you talking about Mac, or you talking about like
For Derek Carr.
for Derek Carr?
For
Like
Derek Carr.
man, you're thinking about doing it. Oh man, think a little
I'm really
harder,
thinking about doing it.
Come back, sleep on it,
All right,
this is my time to mention Taysom Hill
I'll
though.
sleep on
Taysom
it. We'll
Hill,
come back.
say that, man.
Darren Waller, he's a tight end one if he can go. On the New Orleans side, Andy Dalton, love him as a QB1. He's my stream of the week. Alvin Kamara, he's an RB1. Chris Olave, a wide receiver one. I mean, his matchup is phenomenal as well. Jawan Johnson, again, like I said it, he's a tight end one option if Troutman can't go, but that's dependent on whether Jawan Johnson can go. And then if he can't, I mean, whether he can or can't, Taysom Hill, his role is still the same. He's the emergency glass tight end. You got no streaming options. You can't get an Irv Smith. You couldn't get a Hunter Henry, or you couldn't get I can't remember who your stream of the week was. Greg Dulcich. But who is your stream of the week?
My stream of the week is definitely
I have
someone that's
Kate
go crazy.
Who plays tonight.
So yeah.
You couldn't get Kate Otten, then you go ahead and you smash the emergency glass and you stick Taysom Hill in there and you hope for the best.
Hope for that package goal line touchdown. That's what you're hoping
for. Goal line touchdown, or the rare hey, Andy Dalton. Well, maybe not Andy Dalton. We can't have my stream of the week benched mid game, but the range of it's well within the range of outcomes that Taysom Hill, while he's lined up in your tight end slot, ends up having to play quarterback. So yes. That is gonna happen one day. It's gonna break fantasy football, and people are gonna cry and complain about it. But it's almost bound to happen. But yeah, that's really all I have for this game.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to this next game, which will be far more interesting from a fantasy perspective, mainly because of one side of the team of the field. But anyway, the 2-5 Pittsburgh Steelers. That sounds gross to say out loud that Mike Tomlin is coaching a 2-5 football team. Travel to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. So you got a little cross-state rivalry here. The 6-0 Philadelphia Eagles, who are 10.5-point favorites in this game with a 44.5-point total here. So in terms of weather, we're okay. In terms of injuries, Philly's okay. They're coming off the bye week. Pittsburgh, Pat Freiermuth, he was limited with an ankle. But let's think that the ankle that kept him out last week. I think he was a concussion last week. But anyway, TJ Watt, he is been designated to return from the injured reserve. So that's definitely huge news for Pittsburgh's defense. They're a completely different defense when they have TJ Watt on the field. So, if they're floating around, the defense is floating around, just, pay attention to that. But in terms of this game here, I will take the over. I will take Philly to cover. I will take Philly to win. For the Philadelphia side, Jalen Hurts, QB1, AJ Brown, and Devontae Smith are both wide receiver ones. Miles Sanders, an RB2. Dallas Goedert, a top 5 option at the position. On the Pittsburgh side, Pat Freiermuth, the tight end 1 option. George Pickens is a wide receiver 2. Don't know if I can play Deontay Johnson this week. Probably going to see a lot of Darius Slay. And, he hasn't been great to begin with. And then Najee Harris is a volume-based RB3.
Tough. Yeah, it is. I'm gonna take the over. Yeah, I think I'm gonna take the over. Philly gets probably close to that number themselves. I'm gonna take Philly to cover and Philly to win as well at home. So they should, kind of dominate this matchup. Come out early as like the best first half team I've ever seen in my life. And yeah, Jalen Hurts, QB1, must start. Miles Sanders must start, as an RB2. AJ Brown, wide receiver 1 with Devontae Smith. I think they both have wide receiver 1 upside. Devontae Smith has definitely been pretty, making explosive plays. I definitely want to see a monster game from AJ Brown again. Hopefully we can get that, because you did draft him as a, late first round player. So you're getting kind of better value from Devontae Smith right now. It feels like Dallas Goedert, top 5 tight end one, obviously. On the Pittsburgh side, Najee Harris, I agree with you. Volume based RB2.
I said 3.
3, yeah. RB, yeah, yeah. He's only got 1 touchdown on the year, so yeah, I'll probably go RB3 actually. George Pickens, wide receiver 3. Pat Freiermuth is really I'm most confident in starting him, honestly. I mean, he's just been a monster this year for this team, especially in tough matchups and on a bad team. So yeah, it's tough. Mike Tomlin make the playoffs every year as a coach. It's definitely gonna be weird if they don't get it done this year.
Hey, he's never had a losing season.
I never had a losing season. Correct. Right. There you go.
And they're 2-5.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to this next football game. We've got the 3-3 Detroit Lions traveling to Detroit to take on the 1-5 Detroit Lions. This game has a 50.5-point total, where the Miami Dolphins are 3.5-point road favorites. In terms of weather, we're okay here. This game's played in a dome. In terms of injuries, TJ Hawkinson, he was a DNP with a knee. Wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown was limited. He's in concussion protocol, but doesn't have a concussion, so he could play on Sunday potentially. Josh Reynolds, DNP with an ankle. And then the biggest news of the week, Greg, I almost threw my phone because I was so excited. DeAndre Swift, not on the injury report. That is the best injury news that I think comes out of this injury report, is that Swift is not on it.
Absolutely.
From the Miami side, Jalen Waddle, questionable with a shoulder. He's been managing that. If it's not his groin, it's his shoulder. So definitely sucks there, but he's playing through it. So continue to roll him out there. Just caps his upside a little bit. Safety Brandon Jones was added to the injured reserve. And I don't know, Mike McDaniel's been in the division for 7 weeks now. But he's already caught this Belichick thing where he's going to put 13 other guys as questionable on the injury report. So, yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'm not going to read 13 names here. We could figure it out on Sunday. I just threw the names out that I felt like were the most relevant. But Greg, where are you at with this matchup here?
I'm gonna take the under. I don't know why, but I'm gonna take Detroit to cover, but I'm gonna take Miami to win. Field goal game here. On the Detroit side, Jared Goff, I think, is a QB2. I'd be one more than start Jared Goff over like a Justin Fields though, or so I put him there. It'd be kind of be tough, with if Amon-Ra St. Brown can't go with that concussion. So I mean, obviously, if he's playing, you're starting him. If he's not, you're looking to, Josh Reynolds. Again, it's kind of being that main guy. So he's got some wide receiver 2 upside. So I'm putting him as like in the flex category. TJ Hawkinson, if he's able to go, he's a low end tight end 1. DeAndre Swift, you already know, man, that's the highest must start on this team. You got to put him back in. You put him in that lineup. You drafted him as a RB1. You're hoping that he just produces, as he was a monster before he got hurt. Hopefully he continues that. On Miami side, Tua, you're starting him. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, both starters. Really not trusting the running game in this one. I don't really think. I mean, it is Detroit. One running back might score a touchdown, but it's really hard to call who that's going to be. If I had to choose one, it'd be Mostert. But if you could find some better matchups at running back, I would probably go that way. And Mike Gesicki, stream of the week, so has some intrigue.
Yeah, Gesicki is like an honorable mention stream of the week.
Oh yeah, honorable mention. Right.
Stream of the week was actually Hunter Henry. That's what it was.
Yes, sir.
For me, I'm gonna take the over here. I'm gonna take Miami to cover. I'm gonna take Miami to win. On the Detroit side, Swift, he's an RB1 for sure. Jamal Williams has standing alone value as an RB2. Amon-Ra St. Brown, if he returns this week, should return to wide receiver 2 status. I don't care for TJ Hawkinson. I'm sorry. Like, I don't. Like, if you take out the game against Seattle, like, he's probably like the tight end 30. I'm sorry. I'm not. I have no interest in TJ Hawkinson. I can say that because I don't roster any TJ Hawkinson. I don't have any. So, like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it's been like to play him every week. But just based on what I'm seeing from a numbers standpoint, I'm not playing him. On the Miami side, Tua, he's a quarterback 1, Tyreek Hill, a wide receiver 1, Jalen Waddle, a wide receiver 2. Like I said, Mike Gesicki, intriguing streaming option. I disagree with your running back assessment, though. I think Mostert's got to be an RB1. Like, I think, had the big game last week. Detroit's terrible against running backs. And I pull this up really quick, but over the last 3 weeks, he's led this team in rush share by a pretty wide margin. And of course, as I get to it, my Excel sheet. Okay, yeah, he's got a 63% of the team team rush share over the last 3 games. So I'm firing him up as a potential RB1 here in this matchup against Detroit. Let's move on to this next matchup. The 3-4 Arizona Cardinals travel to Minnesota to take on the 5-1 Minnesota Vikings. This game has a 48.5 point total, where the Minnesota Vikings are 3.5 point home favorites. In terms of the weather, this game's in a dome. In terms of injuries, Darrell Williams, the running back, returned to practice in limited fashion, dealing with that knee injury. James Conner also returned to limited practice with his rib injury. They have a bunch of other guys questionable, but on the Minnesota side, linebacker DJ Wanham, he is questionable in this game. I am going to take the over on 48.5. I will take Minnesota to cover 3.5. I'll also take Minnesota to win the game. From a fantasy standpoint, Arizona, Kyler Murray is a quarterback 1. DeAndre Hopkins, a top 8 wide receiver option for me. Zach Ertz has a beautiful matchup as well. Could finish as the top tight end overall, as Minnesota allows the 4th most fantasy points to the tight end position over these last 3 weeks. I am wait and see mode when it comes to all the running backs on the Arizona side. I mean, we talked about it last week after the Thursday night game. Benjamin had to have played himself into a bigger role. So I wouldn't just make the assumption that James Conner is going to be be the lead guy when he returns. But you also can't assume that Benjamin is going to hold on to this job. So I'm in wait and see mode. I've seen people say, they're dropping Benjamin, sending him to the waiver wire. I'm going to give it at least another game, see what happens. If he's not even utilized in this game, then yeah, you drop him. But if it becomes a split, then he's played his way into that, then that's something that we can extract value from. And then obviously we know James Conner's lengthy injury history. So,
it's hard to drop a running back that is involved. If you're almost close to even halfway involved in as a running back in fantasy, you gotta have a roster spot.
Yeah, for sure. I'm willing to play Rondale Moore this week. I'm willing to bet that he goes back into the slot this week with Robbie Anderson. One more week acclimated into the offense. Played a lot on the outside last week, so I do think that he'll go into the slot, which is a better fit for him, being 5'7" or 5'8", like a $190. For the Minnesota side, Kirk Cousins, he's a QB1. Dalvin Cook, an RB2. Justin Jefferson, a top 5 wide receiver option. Adam Thielen, had a nice game before the bye. Arizona is not great against wide receivers, so I'm willing to play him as a wide receiver 2 option in a game that I'm taking the over. Irv Smith, I think, is in a great spot. He's been a floor play at the tight end position, but has an opportunity here against Arizona, who allows the third most fantasy points to the tight end position over the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the under here. I'm gonna take the Vikings to cover and the Vikings to win. Vikings, yes, sneaky 5-1. It just feels so weird because they just don't seem good to me, but they're 5-1. So, yeah, I think Kirk Cousins though.
With their only loss coming against Philadelphia.
Yeah, yeah,
In a prime
in a
time.
blowout.
Cousins.
Yeah, prime time. Yeah, yeah. I like Kirk Cousins' matchup. Any non-prime time matchup, you gotta love Kirk Cousins as a QB1. Dalvin Cook, you're playing him. Justin Jefferson, obviously playing him. Irv Smith Jr. I think has streaming value as a tight end. Getting more and more involved. Just giving you a safe floor that is nice. On the Arizona side, Kyler Murray also a QB1. Hopefully, he doesn't get distracted. It is Call of Duty drop night for multiplayer, just to let you know. So hopefully he's ready and focused for this weekend. Benjamin, I agree with you. As far as the running backs, yeah, I agree with you. If you're, especially with the bye weeks though, yeah, if you can, make the argument, if you're in a pinch, you might have to end up starting one of these people. But yeah, so Benjamin, James Conner looks like they'll probably get the most of the opportunity. So if it is a shootout, one of these guys is going to score a touchdown for sure. As far as the receivers, D Hop, smash spot, continue to play him as a wide receiver 1. Glad he's back. And Rondell Moore is in wide receiver 3 territory for me. But yeah, in 2 of the 4 weeks, he's getting catches, getting targeted. So he's hopefully not moving into a boom and bust realm, but I think you're willing to play him and hopefully in close to getting some points in this game.
Yeah, just need him to take that Greg Dortch role, man, and just lock it up. We've seen him play it twice, and 2 times he didn't play it. So
yeah,
we just need that to be consistent. All right, let's move on to this next game. I'm sorry, man. I get juiced up thinking about this game. The 4-3 New England Patriots traveling to MetLife, which on Sunday will be JetLife Stadium. I will be in the house. That place is going to be wild. It's going to be crazy.
The 3 and 4 Patriots, yo. They under 500. We got to make sure we keep that. Yeah, facts,
shoot.
yo. Facts,
sorry.
yo. Nah,
the
we got to
3 and
make
4
sure
New England Patriots. You know what it was? This happens like I like was working on the sheet and I was like, oh, Chicago's going to lose. So
yeah.
Knowing before I did that every time I've done that, the opposite happens. So
hey, maybe it should be a trend, yo. Let me know what you do about this Monday night, yo.
So the 3 and 4 New England Patriots travel to MetLife to take on the 5 and 2 New York Jets. I think this is like the first time in 20 games or something stupid like that the Jets have had a better record than New England going into this game.
By 2 games, yo. Oh,
2
man.
games.
Wow.
This game has a 41.5 point total. And the New England Patriots are 2.5 point road favorites. I think that line's gone down to 1.5 in some places.
You know where they started the week at? Because I'm sure you know.
Oh, 2.5. 2.5.
Started we got 2.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, started the week at 2.5. That was before the Monday night game. Even after the Monday night game, it was still 2.5. I think it'll be a pick 'em by Sunday. But Greg, in terms of injuries and whether we're okay in terms of injuries, David Andrews questionable with a concussion. Kyle Duggar, the safety. David Andrews plays center, by the way. Kyle Duggar, the safety. He was DNP with an ankle. Wide receiver Nelson Aguilar, limited participant with a hamstring. Kendrick Bourne, limited participant with a toe. For the Jets, Corey Davis has been a DNP all week with a knee injury. Has an MCL sprain, will most likely not play in this game. There's no Breece Hall, who's placed on injured reserve. No Elijah Vera Tucker, who has been their best offensive lineman. He was placed on injured reserve. He's also out for the year. Got a few other guys questionable, but for the most part, seems like outside of those 3 guys I mentioned, most people will play. Greg, where do you fall when it comes to this matchup right here?
I think I'm gonna take the over. Something about when Belichick plays the Jets, he wants to score as much points as possible, so he's gonna try to get it up there. I'm gonna take the Jets to cover, and yeah, I'm gonna take the Jets to win. Um, yeah, I think the Jets defense is just the better team. I think they are have a better roster right now. Even with the loss of Brees Hall, I think they'll be able to still run the ball at an efficient clip with Michael Carter and sprinkling some James Robinson. So on the Jet side, it's really kind of those two I'm looking at. Really, Michael Carter being the lead dog, I think he'll get most of the opportunity share. So he's entering an RB2 category for me. And James Robinson, I think, is gonna start. I mean, gonna get some opportunity here. I think he's a RB3. But if he's in some goal line packages, maybe he could get a touchdown here. So I do think both receivers are playable. I mean, both running backs are playable. On the New England side, it's really Ramondre Stevens' season. Got to keep playing him as a RB1. I think he's just really exploded on the scene since Damian Harris got hurt, and even when now he's playing, you see him that he's getting still the most of the opportunity share as well. Jacoby Myers, willing to play him as a wide receiver, low end wide receiver two, and that's about it. Yeah.
I'm going to take the under.
Hmm.
I'm going to take the Jets to cover. I'm going to take the Jets to win. I agree with what you were saying. This team, the Jets have the better roster. Um, and New England is they got whooped on Monday night, big time. And when I watched that game, the Jets could do defensively
Right,
to
with
New
Chicago.
England
Yeah,
what
yeah,
Chicago did.
absolutely.
So yeah, I take the Jets to cover and win this game. For the New England side, Ramondre Stevenson, he's an RB1 based on volume. The Jets are decent against running backs, allowing the 22nd most PPR points to the position over the last 3 weeks. But again, he'll get enough volume here. Jacoby Myers is probably the only wide receiver for New England that I would be willing to play because of the volume that he should see. But he's a wide receiver 3 in a tough matchup. He's not going to be lined up against Sauce Gardner or DJ Reed as he plays in the slot, but Michael Carter the second, the lesser known cornerback and the lesser known Michael Carter for that matter on his own team. Uh, he's having a really good year in the slot. So the Jets are just a tough matchup for wide receivers. However, like we talked about, the Hunter Henry stream of the week, I like this matchup for him a lot. The Jets allow the ninth most PPR points to the position over the last 3 games. And then for the on the Jets side, the running back Michael Carter, should see work as the lead back and as an RB2. Um, in this one, James Robinson, I think he's definitely in play as an RB3. It's tough to feel confident playing him because you don't have enough information about how he'll be utilized in his first game with the Jets. But like you said, the goal line opportunities might be there. So I think he's definitely going to be someone that's in play. Uh, Garrett Wilson, I think he's got to be treated as a wide receiver 3. Bill Belichick is going to force Zach Wilson to throw the football, and it's going to have to be down the field. So Garrett Wilson will be involved. Talked about Elijah Moore yesterday. I'm willing to stash him ahead of this game to see, what the utilization is like with him. No Corey Davis. Brees Hall is not here, so they're going to have to get creative in some of their play calling. Yeah, New England's they've been good the last 3 weeks against all positions, not allowing anything higher than the 23rd fantasy points to any position over the last 3 weeks. So um, it's going to be interesting to see how the Jets get this one done. I think it comes down to their defense. On the outside of the fantasy stuff, I mean, all you keep hearing is that this team lost to this Jets team lost to New England in Foxborough last year. I score of 54-13.
Yeah,
The
Belichick does
Patriots,
not play with the Jets, man. He
no, the
does not play
Patriots
with
were
them.
up. They were up big, in the fourth quarter, and they were still throwing, go balls. I even saw a player, Will Parks, who plays for the Jets, who wasn't playing for them at this time last year, but after the Denver game, he tweeted out, "I wasn't on the team last year, but I remember seeing it. these dudes were throwing up goal balls up by 30 in the fourth quarter. So you best believe like we're coming for this one. So this game has a lot. There's a lot involved in this game. There's going to be a lot of drama, and
Yeah.
I'm just excited to be in the house for that game because that stadium is going to erupt all
Yeah.
day on Sunday. So we'll see.
Yeah. The only thing I give the Pats besides Bill Belichick that he not that he hates the Jets, but he clearly has something against them. The two Jets losses have both been at home, so it'll be interesting. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, the two Jets
Seem like
losses have been at home, but Zach Wilson's 4-0 as the starter with one of those coming at home.
okay.
5-0,
There you go.
4-0, with one of those coming at home against Miami. So I do have a theory about that, by the way. They have been down basically leading up to like the Pittsburgh game.
Mm-hmm.
They were down like 10 points in the fourth quarter in all four of those games, the first four games of the season, two on the road, two at home. And the games that they came back in were the two that took place on the road. And the reason for that is Joe Flacco was leading the offense over the first two home games.
Gotcha. Okay.
They were just booing him tremendously. Like the home fans, like the Jets fans, were booing the Joe Flacco-led offense when they were down like 9 points in the fourth quarter. Still had a chance to win the game in both of those games. So I don't want to turn this into a Jets podcast. You guys can obviously tell I'm excited for this game. Hopefully, I don't come in here defeated on Monday. Sure. Yeah. All right, y'all. Let's wrap this up. We obviously I would love to sit here and talk more about the fantasy football and the New York Jets taking on the New England Patriots, but we're going to do some more of that on Saturday. Week, and we play some Get Money. So, G Money,
yeah, man.
Anything you want to say to close this one out?
Nah, yeah, let's hope you get some good continuing for the Northeast to keep getting some wins except Pats. Hey man, if Green Bay Packers find a way, yo, you guys be first in the division, yo. Yo, that'd be crazy, yo. That'd be crazy.
I can't stay here for this conversation. I'm getting too excited. I break down the spread.
Yo, it's crazy.
Man,
it's crazy, yo.
I don't want to think like that. One game at a time. Got to go 1-0 every week, just like we do in fantasy. Everybody, we appreciate y'all. We will catch y'all on Saturday morning. We break down the rest of these games. Have a good one, everybody. We're out of here. Peace.
Yeah.